Again, phrase connector. Let's quickly do this. So there is two sentences. One is the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, and the darkness of the night spreads its either down. Okay. And then there is complete silence. Options, as is crimson in the sky deepens. Okay. First option is there is complete silence when. Option 2, as the crimson in the sky deepens. Option 3, by the time the darkness off. So you have 5, only 1 is correct, only option 1 is correct, only option 2 is correct, only option 3 is correct, all are correct, none is correct. Let's quickly look at it. So which of these options, 1, 2 and 3, if I use, will make logical sense if I connect these two parts? That's the question, right? We understand the pattern, sentence connector. So can I say, hey, there is complete silence when the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, and the darkness of the night spread its either down? I can say that. Why not? 2. As the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, and the darkness of the night spread its either down. I'll have to add something. And by the time this happens, actually the third option will make sense for me to help connect the second option. If I'm saying I have to connect these two sentences, then option A will be redundant. There is complete silence, will become repetitive. So it's better to avoid that confusion. Let's eliminate option 1, right? See, they're basically saying I need to connect these two statements. These are the options. There is complete silence when the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, and the darkness of the night spread its either down. And then again, there is complete silence is repeating. So without that, yes, it makes sense, right? But let's not take the risk. Second one says, as the crimson in the sky deepens. So as the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sounds start subsiding. And I feel like wanting to use option 3. And by the time the darkness of the night spread its either down, there is complete silence. So in that case, let's quickly look at option 3 as also. By the time the darkness of the night spread its either down, the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sounds start subsiding, and there is complete silence. A little tricky here, but let's put down, I'm just going to write down everything, okay? All the sentences, then it will become clear. I have a feeling everything will make sense, but let's quickly look at it. There is option 1, right? There is complete silence when the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, and the darkness of the night spreads its either down. So that's one option, makes sense. Second one, as the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, right? And sound starts subsiding, and the darkness of the night spreads its either down. And there is complete silence. That also makes sense. Third one says, by the time the darkness of the night spreads its either down, the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, and there is complete silence. That is also possible. So, seems like all are correct. Let's write it down. By the time the darkness of the night spreads its blah blah blah, the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, and there is complete silence. Yeah. Option 2, as the crimson in the sky, is already given in the first sentence. As the right? Like somebody said, all the options are actually there. By the time the darkness off, only this is not there. Oh, this is also there. The time of the darkness off. So all the options are actually repetitive in either 1 or 2. The idea is, see, some of you are saying the options are repetitive, but if you look at all the 3 options, there's some part of it which is already there in either sentence 1 or sentence 2. The idea is, if I take option 1 and can I combine these 2 sentences, which means this part in sentence 2 and sentence 1 come together, will it still make sense? So that's why I said, if you look at option 1, I'm reading it for the last time for everybody's benefit, right? There is complete silence when what happens? The crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, and the darkness of the night spread its either down. That makes sense. The second option, as the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities and sound start subsiding, and the darkness of the night spreads its either down. And in fact, like I said, for the second one, I will add by the time the darkness off. Then it makes sense. There is complete silence. And then the third one, as the crimson in the sky deepens, the activities blah blah blah, and there is complete silence. So all 3 are possible constructions. So the option is option D. Okay. I mean, we've seen this sentence connectors, but it seems like a different pattern though. In the following questions, a pair of sentences is given followed by 3 ways in which 2 sentences could be combined. Okay, select which of the given choices are correct. So we have 2 sentences. Okay, yes. So they're saying 3 ways in which these 2 sentences can combine. So let's look at it. 2016 taught us, among many other things, not to second guess Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So the first part is saying, last year, among many other things, what last year also told us is not to second guess Prime Minister Narendra Modi, meaning don't have second thoughts about his ability to do something or achieve something, or in the position that he is given, the tasks that he is, implementing. Don't even think twice that it is wrong. Right? That's what the first part is saying. And then 2 says, he was evolved from an incremental reformer to the one who could take revolutionary steps full of dangerous risks. Now, if you look at the second sentence, right, it is only adding to sentence 1, right? Why should you not second guess? Why should you not second guess PM Narendra Modi? PM Modi. Right? That's what sentence 2 is, PM Modi ji, right? So, now let's look at it. So, which means, is there any contrast here in the context? What is second sentence saying? He was evolved from an incremental reformer to the one who could take revolutionary steps full of dangerous risks. An incremental reformer is somebody who is carefully planning, making changes, right? He's doing all that, and then he goes one step ahead and he takes risks, right? This whole demonetization thing was a risk that he took, right? He got a lot of bad name for that. People were affected, right? Still people are angry with him, but it was a risk he took for the larger benefit, right? Whatever it is. So having said that, if you look at options B and C, you have however and nevertheless. Why I need those contrasting words? Nevertheless means in spite of. Right, in fact, it's a synonym to however. So, only a 2016 taught us, among many other things, not to second guess Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has evolved. If I have to replace, relative pronoun, who would be the right option, right? Who has evolved from an incremental reformer to the one who could take revolutionary steps full of dangerous risks. Only option A. I mean, this is the logic that I can come up with. There's no need for however and nevertheless, because there is nothing contradicting or separating these two sentences. Pretty easy one actually. See this, let's take the example of this demonetization itself, this move by PM Modi ji, right? So people were already kind of doing a lot of speculations. They were having their own predictions about how they were guessing what will be the outcome. So when you are second guessing somebody, it is not necessarily criticized after outcomes. You can still second guess before the outcomes also. Right? Basically, second guess means you are guessing, you are predicting, hey, this person has done this move, but I'm not too. So many of them gave their own opinions, right? They shared their opinion saying, I don't think this is a good move, not happening, all of that. You can second guess either ways, not necessarily wait for the outcomes. You can also second guess in hindsight, meaning after what has happened, right? Understanding a particular situation after it has happened or developed. So he says, please discuss the question of sentence connectors. I'm not able to solve these questions. Alright. Now, before getting into the question itself, couple of things, okay, when it comes to sentence connectors, basically you have two simple sentences, right, which is two complete thoughts, which is a clause, a complete thought, a subject and a verb, and then you'll have to join them, combine them to form a meaningful or a logical sentence. And there are options given, right? So, the ideal way to approach these sort of questions is to just apply logic for the most part, right? Just keep in mind to apply logic and see if the sentence is making sense, right? That's all you need to do. So, let's look at the first one. You are sincere, you can succeed. The options are unless you, B, and then C is should you, okay? So, if you look at the context, logically what the context is saying is, you can succeed, as in can expressing ability. So it's saying if you are sincere, right, you do have the ability to succeed. That's what the context is saying logically. So if I look at the options and then I have to make sense of what the context is again saying. So if I look at option A, it says unless you. So there's a condition. So the condition is you have to be sincere, right? Not necessarily that you have to be sincere to succeed, but it will still make sense if I say unless you are sincere, right, you cannot succeed. Unless you are sincere, you cannot succeed, right? That one makes sense based on the logic that the sentence is giving. Be sincere, right? You just have to add a conjunction. Be sincere and you can succeed, right? That also makes logical sense. Now the third part, it says, should you be sincere, you can succeed. Grammatically, the construction is not working. Even if I say, should you succeed, be sincere, is not making logical sense. So for me, any of the options that is giving me A and B will work, right? Should you be sincere, to start off with that itself is not making sense. But even if I say, should you succeed, which means what? If at all you succeed, be sincere also is not very logical, right? So A and B, anything that gives you A and B, which is option 3, that will be the answer. See, very clearly I can say definitely option A, because the option starts with unless, which is a condition, and if you have to put these two sentences together to make meaning of what the sentence is saying, unless you are sincere, you cannot succeed, right? That's the most logical connect you can derive combining these two sentences. So A for sure. B, the reason being, be sincere, right? And at the same time you can still succeed. You can add it. You can add stuff to make it, okay, let me give you other examples so you will understand what I'm trying to say. Let's look at a couple of random examples, okay. I'll give you an example, okay. You have something, right? I'm giving you another example, right? So this is the first sentence. You have something. Second sentence, try to manage it, okay. Now, if I need to combine these two sentences to make a logical connect, how will you connect these two sentences? You have something, try to manage it. For the most part, when you're connecting these sentences, you'll have to you need a conjunction, right? That's the whole point of connecting these two sentences. How can you connect two clauses without a conjunction? If you have something, then try to manage it, okay. You have something to manage it. You can also switch, right? You can also switch the context to still make sense of it. Try to manage with whatever you have. Yes, that's a good one. So that makes a logical connect, right? Try to manage with what you have. See here again, in this example sentence, one of you gave it, right? That what you have is referring to the something, right? You're not literally taking that thing and putting it here when you're connecting it, but it is still making logical sense. So the idea is for you to try and connect the two parts and still make logical sense, and then here you're adding this conjunction with, right? So the point is, as long as you're able to make logical sense of these two sentences when you're putting it together. So couple of things, at least from this sentence, what we've learned is, you can add conjunctions to make it logical. You can even switch the parts to make it logical, right? So let's move on. We'll look at a couple of more sentences. Probably that will kind of help you. I will put up some more as examples. Let's try and work out some more. So if I say, do not eat too much, you will be sick, or you will fall sick. Do not eat too much, you will be sick. If you have to connect these two parts, part 1, part 2, to make a logical connect, how will you connect it? What are both the context saying? It's saying, boss, if you do this, you're going to fall sick. Yeah, correct, right? You're saying you will be sick or you will fall sick if you eat too much, or if you eat too much, you will be sick, right? So you're bringing in a condition because that's what the context is saying. The context is saying, boss, I don't want you to do this, and if you do this, this is what will happen, right? So you're adding an if, bringing in a condition, because both the context is expressing that. So if you eat too much, you will fall sick. Okay, let's look at a couple more.